Welcome into another episode of Hot Takes and High Stakes. We are hosts, Austin and Taylor. Today we're going to continue on our division talk, going over the AFC West, going over our opinions of what we think is going on, give our win totals for the season. How are you feeling going into this division?
What I'm thinking right off the bat, I'm going to say the Broncos are going to be at the top of this division, and I think the Raiders are going to be at the bottom. I think the Chiefs and the Chargers are going to be very competitive for that second spot. But yeah, let's get into it.
Looking into it, every single team had an injury at some major position throughout it. Obviously, without the Raiders, their biggest injury was to being the Raiders, but everywhere else, I feel like with health, it's going to be a completely new division that we saw last year.
Yeah, and with the Raiders, we'll get into it a little more with that team, but defensively, I think is where we're really going to see if they can be competitive. I think it's all going to rely on the defense keeping them in games. We know their offense isn't going to be incredible, but I think defense can keep them in some games if they can keep it close. I think there's some hope with Kirk Cousins.
All right, so let's jump into our first team here. We're going to look at the Denver Broncos. So far, they are the reigning champs, kind of surprised everyone last year. How do you feel about them going into this year?
Yeah, really optimistic based on last season. I think they were one Bo Nix injury away from going to the Super Bowl. So I think that team's going to have a giant chip on their shoulder. Love what they're doing in Denver. I think Sean Payton's just a football genius and really like what they're putting together there.
Yeah, I definitely like the situation they got there. They got some big pieces coming in too, and a lot of their defensive players stayed. So that's always a nice thing going into year two of a lot of the defensive core remaining the same pieces. That's always nice to
Yeah.
build off of.
Probably one of the top three defenses in the league by the end of the year.
Especially if
So
we
what
get Jahdae Barron to step up too, and going into year two, I liked him coming out of last year's draft at Texas, and if he steps up in that slot position, that could be a dangerous secondary.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's jump into the draft. Not too exciting. They did trade away their first and second round picks. Obviously, the addition of Jalen Waddle is where their first round pick went to Miami. I think Jalen Waddle, great addition on this team. I don't know if he's a little too far beyond his prime, but I think he can still add some value to this team.
So if you look at this, looking at the draft board and where they were position wise, do you think there's a player that could help them right now as much as Jalen Waddle did in that trade?
No, and not really. I mean, they could have went out there, and you never know what's going to happen with these wide receivers. I think they could have found a decent wide receiver, but you never know. Jaden Waddle's proven himself in the NFL. He's got the knowledge to play, and I think he'll fit right in. I think he'll be a good addition for at least the next 3 to 4 years.
Yeah, I agree. I think his speed brings a new dynamic to that offense, and it's going to be exciting to see. But I really think that that was a better option than the first couple of picks. I mean, there's a lot of talent in this draft, but they got a for sure talent going in on the outside that can help them right now. I thought that was a great trade.
Jumping into their first pick in the draft, round 3, number 6 overall, Tyler Onyedem, D tackle out of Texas A&M. Don't know if I pronounced that right, but I'm just going to roll with it. We don't really go too deep into beyond the third round on this podcast. I think drafting a defensive lineman third round, I don't think you're going to go wrong getting anyone off that defensive front from Texas A&M. Looks like this guy's got quite a bit of experience coming out of college, real hardcore interior offensive lineman. I don't think they did bad in the draft. As far as the draft went, no, they didn't do anything great, but their trades that they made and the talent they were able to bring in with those draft picks is the kicker here.
Yeah, I agree. I will say though, their fourth round draft pick, Jonah Coleman, I think that was a safe pick as well. I mean, looking at the running back roster, J.K. Dobbins cannot finish a full season. That's kind of been clear from the get-go. This is that nice assurance, especially late in the season, that if he does go down for injury, you have another great talent to plug and play and be
Another
able to take.
rotational guy to put in there. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that was a great, smart pick. Same with Cage Casey on the offensive tackle, being able to get some depth there on your offensive edge, protect Bo Nix and that bum ankle that he's got.
Grading them on what they did with their draft picks, I'm going to go with an A minus just because bringing in a wide receiver is exactly what they needed to do. And they got someone that we already know can do it, as we discussed. I'm going to give them an A minus. I'm pretty confident with the Broncos going into this season. And I think they're going to be at the top of that division.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to say, honestly, just a B plus. I love what they did with the trade, but it's hard for me to give someone an A when they didn't have 2 first round picks. That's a little difficult, but they did great with the trade. I think their 2 picks they picked in after is awesome. They also have an extra 4th round pick as well to help bolster their offense. But overall, I think B plus, solid but not great. Looking at
Okay.
their overall roster, did you How do you feel about anyone else going? I feel like losing Drake Greenlaw was going to be a big hit over the middle. I think he was a stalwart of their defensive backfield and kind of that tackle machine that everyone kind of leaned on. And that's going to be a big hit to lose next year.
Yeah, they do have a good linebacking group, pretty decent depth there. Pat Zertan on the outside, one of my favorite players in the league right now. Offensively, I really love seeing Troy Franklin. I think he's just going to continue to develop, continue to build on what he and Bo Nix had last season.
Fun fantasy player, that's for sure.
Yeah,
Definitely a
absolutely.
player to look at later in the rounds when everyone's just throwing these random names. Troy Franklin's going to have a big year. I feel like that's someone you definitely want to step in on those fantasy drafts.
It's what we're here for. Let's see
Yeah,
some touchdowns, fantasy points. Come on, baby.
yeah,
Let's win some money.
for real. Generational wealth. That's all what we're here about in the show.
Jumping into the schedule, what is their season win total sitting at?
So it looks like FanDuel has them projected about 9.5, which I feel like that's a fair line looking at what they have going into it. Big thing going into this season, Sean Payton did give up play calling duties, so that's always nice. He was not reliable as a play caller. There was no steady 1-2 options. It was just everyone gets a chance, everyone gets the ball, and everyone gets their share, which hard to get that consistency when you're not getting that many snaps together on the field at once.
And this one's hard. This one's hard because a lot of their games were those one score differences. They just happen to get lucky, and it depends on which side you're on with that. It's their coin flip in those one score games, and they got lucky. But I think that's the way that they're coached. So I'm pretty heavily leaning towards the over on this. I think they can get 10 wins. That 11 to 12 mark should be doable for them. Not an easy schedule by any means, but they're in the middle. After that Seattle game, I think they'll do okay in that stretch. You know they're going to split the majority of these games with divisional rivals. I think KC beats them week 1. I think KC is going to come out there and shock everyone. But I think later in the year, that week 8, I think that's when we're going to see the Broncos start to turn it on.
Yeah, I mean, they have a really tough schedule this first couple of weeks, but if they can get through that, I feel like it really opens up later on this season.
Yeah, then you hit
I
Carolina, the Raiders, Pittsburgh, Miami, Jets. That's a lot of wins right there.
I think off their defense alone, I like 10 wins just because their defense is so good. And going into another year, a lot of the same players being together. If they can replace the people they lost, I feel like they would do 10 wins pretty consistently, pretty easily. But that's barring any injuries. I think if we lose another Pat Surtain, some more extended length of injuries again, I feel like that's going to be rough to get 10 wins. All right, jumping into this next one, we're going to go ahead with the Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, is he going to play another year after this? Probably not. What's happening with Andy Reid? Kind of a lot of questions on this team. Rashid Rice currently sitting in a jail cell as he's rehabbing a knee injury. It's a wild situation for that team.
Jumping into the Chiefs 2026 draft, round 1, they traded up for Mansour Delane, cornerback at LSU. This dude is an absolute stud, probably the best corner to come out of the draft, in my opinion. They definitely have to fill those holes that they lost defensively. Trent McDuffie was a giant hit on this team, so I think this is a great pick for them to trade up and go get him. It is a little confusing because there was some depth with DBs in this. I know that this guy's on a different level, but very concerning to me to not see them go grab an offensive lineman. At
I
least
mean,
their later first round pick, but we'll get into that. What's your thoughts on Mansour Delane?
when you lose Jalen Watson, let him walk in free agency, and then you trade away Trent McDuffie, I feel like you kind of have to make a splash at the position. I mean, they made a good signing in the free agency with Cater Coho, but they need that guy, that star, that dude on the outside, to make up for losing those players. And lately, Kansas City's kind of hitting the nail on drafting corners. I mean, Snead before him, McDuffie now. They can't seem to miss on corner draft. So I think this is a great pick.
Yeah, will be a player for sure. Jumping into their second pick here, this is where they went D tackle. Again, nothing but question marks on my end. Why are you not going and getting an offensive lineman here? They need tackles. I'm okay with Creed Humphrey at center. I think that's good. I'm guard, you can get by, but you need a tackle. Absolutely need a tackle. No slander on Peter Woods though. Great D tackle. I just don't
I'm
think that was
sorry.
their weak spot. Don't think that needed attention.
My guy, Peter was so good at Clemson, but I can't stop giggling at his name, man. Peter Woods is just a
Peter Woods,
double
bro.
wing. It's a
Peter
double wang
Woods.
name, and I
Why
just feel
why are
so
you saying
bad. So funny.
bros out there just laying the wood. Peter Woods.
Hey,
All right, then we get into the second round. You've got Mason Thomas, again, great edge rusher coming out of Oklahoma. Why not an offensive lineman? Not a tackle? We're not even gonna try second round
their
guys, see if you got anything?
defense needed it, bro. Their defense needed the help. It needed a reset. They absolutely need to go ahead and do this. Their edges have been rough. They have not been able to put any pressure on any of their opposing quarterbacks, which has allowed their defense to just get picked apart.
Have you
Excuse me.
watched their offensive line get annihilated every week?
There's some spots they should have hit. Yes. There's some positions that were very, very needed that they kind of just skipped on over. They do have a lot of young talent that they picked up in the previous year's draft. So hopefully we can get a big step up from one or two of those players, but defense was a big needed hit. They just missed a lot of the positions that they did need. Offensive line especially. I mean, Mahomes coming off a major injury, that should be your telltale sign. That's your franchise player. Let's do something to protect him.
They did help out their secondary as well, bringing in Logie Gilman, safety over from the Ravens. I think this is a great addition to help in that secondary. As you said, they're going to need some help defensively, but I'm really concerned with this offensive line.
Yeah, I think offensive line, this is one or two slight injuries away from a catastrophe and a downfall for the rest of the season for this team. I pray not, but I mean, I truly like Kenneth Walker. I thought this was a great signing coming in, signing the Super Bowl MVP. I thought that was a great, great deal.
I
But
think he's
he's
going to
not a guy
go
that can
well.
get 300 touches. He's not a 250, 300 touch guy. He's shown over his career that he's going to get hurt if he gets that many touches.
In this offense, they have not been able to run the ball, and I think they're going to have some success with him. So they will probably break him. Hopefully, they still have a healthy Patrick Mahomes later in the year, so they don't have to lean on him as heavily. But I'm not thrilled on the idea of starting him week one. I personally
Do
think
you
that they
think he starts?
I think he will. If that's what Patrick's saying he wants to do and he can, I think they're going to, but who knows what's going to happen. We'll speculate this right up until kickoff. You know it's going to be a topic of discussion. He'll be out there warming up whether he's playing or not.
He's not playing. If they were smart at any point, they would not let him play. It is a long season. There's no reason to go out there and start him week one for nothing. Let
I
him
would
get right.
yes, set him the first 4 weeks after your week 5 bye. Bring him in then if he's feeling good. I mean, you've got Justin Fields. If you can win 2 of those games, be 2-2, you're not sitting in a bad spot with Patrick Mahomes coming back. Hopefully Rasheed's out of the joint by then and those 2 can get on the same page. I'm a little concerned with their wide receiver depth. I still have faith that Xavier Worthy can amount to something in the NFL. He
He's
seemed
not
to
a
fix
receiver one. He's not a
he's
receiver
not a
one.
receiver one, but I think he could be an absolute playmaker for them. Rice is clearly going to be the number one if he can ever make his way to the field and stay there.
I really like Tyquan Thornton. I think he could really be
Yes,
something here.
they re-signed him. He's got that good deep ball upside. That guy that just comes out of nowhere. I think he was like wide receiver 4 last year, but he popped up when they needed him because they just
Every
didn't
single
put any.
week. Every week he had that crazy just one catch for a touchdown, but it was always when they needed it the most. If he gets a year 2 in, hey, maybe he'll be something. That'd be cool.
Yeah, and we know Kelsey can catch the ball, fall down 5 yards pretty
Used to.
consistently.
Is Kelsey still catching the ball, or is he? How many interceptions did Holmes throw last year because Kelsey threw it off his hands and into defenders' hands?
Definitely
At least
spiraling.
5. At least 5. Like, there's players that don't do that in their 5 in their career, and he did that in a season.
We got him back. You know they're going to make a Super Bowl push, but I don't think this is their year. I really don't. I think there's too many question marks, but you can't doubt Patrick Mahomes.
Before any further, I do have a serious question. Do you think if they go and reset, do they keep Mahomes, or do you trade Mahomes if you're rebuilding?
No, that's their franchise guy forever.
But what you could get for trading Mahomes, hypothetically, that's at least 3 or 4 first round draft picks. At least 1 or 2, maybe more. A lot of good players in turn. That's a great thing for a team that's potentially rebuilding, especially if Andy Reid decides to retire as well.
Yeah, you're talking 1 in every 12,000 draft picks that you're going to get a Patrick Mahomes. Like it's just
I'm aware.
probably even more than that. I just don't see ever doing that. But yes, you're right. The value of him is absolutely unmatched, and you could build half a roster just on that one player alone. But the quarterback position is just too valuable, and I don't think that you you can replace that. You're not going to draft it. You're not going to trade for it.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so what do you, before we jump ahead any further, what are you giving their draft grade?
Draft wise, I'm going to give them a C minus. I'll be generous because the defensive talent that they did draft, I think they did their homework. I just don't know how you don't get an offensive lineman. I'm not making any sense of that, but I'll quit harping on that. I think the defensive talent they brought in is going to be good. Definitely some of them are going to fit right into the starting lineup. The other guys are probably rotational. I think our edge rusher and the corner are going to be starting right off the bat.
Kind of have to, right? Just out of necessity. Yeah, I think C is kind of a good spot. C plus, because the players they did get in the draft are great players. Very, very athletic. But it's just like you're saying, they missed out on the most key position that they needed to pick up in the first couple of rounds, and they didn't get any offensive line help. They really, really needed something other than a D tackle. They can get a D tackle. Anyone can be a D tackle. And Peter Woods is a very athletic player, but it's hard to win games when your quarterback's on the ground hurt all the time.
All right, season win total.
Their season win total, according to FanDuel, is sitting at 10.5. Normally, I like to take the over on any Patrick Mahomes team. I feel like that's a comfortable bet, but lately I think the tides are turning. I think the offensive line help not getting in the draft is going to bite them this season. They can't seem to have a healthy O-line throughout the whole season yet. I really am worried. I think Kenneth Walker is a great player, but without getting the offensive line help, is going to struggle. Patrick Mahomes, without coming back from injury, without the offensive line help, is going to struggle. Rasheed Rice, being a Joe, is going to struggle. Like,
So they're going to struggle.
yeah, I think so. No, I normally like 10.5, taking the over on that line, but this year I think it's changing. I want to say 9 wins is kind of where I'm looking at based off what their schedule's looking at.
Right where I'm at. I'm heavy on the under for them this year. I think that 8-win mark's going to be right where they're at. Maybe 9. My prediction, I think they are going to play Patrick Mahomes way too early. I think he's going to be banged up going into this later part of the year, and when you've already had your bye week 5, that's just going to be brutal. When they get into Buffalo, Los Angeles, Cincinnati, yeah, I'm pretty heavy on the under.
Yeah, I mean, the first couple games, not too bad. Denver, Indy, we'll see where we're at with Daniel Jones on his recovery as well. Then Miami and Las Vegas, not too bad. But then we jump into the Chargers, Seahawks, Broncos. Again, got an easy one with the Jets, but then we got Falcons. Who knows where they're at? They're always that sneaky team that likes to upset teams that give them no chance. Truly looking at this, I like 9 wins, kind of consistent. 8 wins at the low end, 9 wins at the top end, but I like 9.
Yeah, and that's so don't look at Denver, but you look at Indianapolis, Miami, and Las Vegas. What are you worried about? Justin Fields can go out there, run your RPO offense. The Chiefs are already very good at that. Those teams aren't that strong offensively. They're good teams, but they're not that strong that you need to be that worried. Even if you only win one of those games, I don't think it's worth risking your franchise guy in order to get one of those wins. As you go through the middle of their schedule, there's a lot of winnable games, especially if you have Patrick Mahomes healthy out there and doing what he does. I just don't see the push there. And hopefully you're right and they don't play him and this is all just to get the media talking, but I think he'll be out there week 1.
I hope not, but I've been wrong many times before. All right, let's jump into our next team here with the Las Vegas Raiders. I don't know if you heard, but they took Fernando Mendoza, number 1 overall in the draft this year.
They did. National champion, Heisman Trophy winner. Can't go wrong.
Yeah, Mr. Good Boy.
There was not another pick for this team. They tried to create some kind of buzz. There was no other pick for this team. Great pickup. Absolutely love it.
Going into this draft, I was a firm believer that they should have traded that first overall pick and got players and got different picks and got different areas that they needed help in. But looking at the talent here, there's no one else they could have picked. They needed to get Fernando. The Kirk Cousins signing, I'm a little off about, a little confused. I mean, Hall of Fame agent from Kirk Cousins, though. Hall of Fame agent.
It's smart bringing this guy in with a veteran in the room, even if you're only signing that veteran to play for 6 weeks, which I don't think they are based on the contract that you just mentioned. I think that puts Fernando in the best spot for him. I think he is mentally tough enough to go out there and just absolutely take a beating, and he'll learn, but it's also going to create some hesitancy. And that guy plays with so much confidence. I think they're absolutely doing this the right way. Going to put Kirk out there. Who knows how long he lasts? That guy moves like cold tar in the pocket. It could be after the second series.
3 weeks, tops.
You're giving it 3?
3
I think
weeks.
it'd be that 6 to 8 week mark. See the Las Vegas fan base absolutely stirring, just jonesing for this guy to get on the field. They're not gonna be happy with Kirk Cousins. He's too damn slow. I'm hoping that he can get on the same page as Brock Bowers and really get something clicking there just to create some excitement in this offense. They have a good defense, but they can't be on the field for the entire game. You got Max Crosby coming back off that knee injury. I don't think you're going to see near the snap volume that we've seen out of him in the past, but it looks like they help substitute that a little bit, bringing some younger guys in that could be rotational. And hopefully, Max doesn't have to be an absolute wrecking machine for 90 plays a game.
I think he's still going to, but I mean, if I was Max, I'd be pretty mad about the Ravens right about now. He was so close to getting out of there, but
He was almost gone.
I think they did some great things. I mean, these dudes on day one of the free agency spent so much money on some very important positions. They're trying to win. I don't know if it's going to be this year. I'm not predicting them to be a surprise everyone this year, but they're doing it the right way and they're building the right pieces and doing what they need to do to get the right guys in. With Kubiak at
QB,
coach, I really think that this will be a successful pairing with him and Fernando for the future.
yeah, it looks like they're doing it right. Hopefully, they can not beat the absolute piss out of Ashton Genty and keep him for that 2 years from now team. I think they will really start to have a pretty good roster by then, and it will all come down to coaching at that point. But you're going to have to keep this young talent healthy enough for the team to put the key positions in place, and they're still going to need a lot of help on the offensive line.
I mean, they have some good players. They brought Tyler Linderbaum in on the center from the Ravens. That was a great signing. One of the best centers on the free agent market. They got him in there. Austin Powers Johnson is not a good center. I'm glad that they brought Linderbaum in to bring a true center in, allow Powers to play that more of that guard position that he does a lot better in, and allows him to focus on that position, not be playing back and forth like he has been this past couple of years. Other than that, their tackles, Colton Miller, he's a great tackle. Who else do they got?
You got me.
Just like every defense is going to get Fernando or Kurt, they got me.
Jumping into their second round pick, trading Stukes, safety at Arizona. This guy played over 360 snaps as a slot corner and another 160 snaps at safety, 21 pass breakups in 55 career games. This is a guy that's played a lot of football. Arizona's not seeing the toughest talent. They're not playing the SEC. They're not in the Big Ten, but that's still a tough conference. This dude's coming in with some experience, and I think they'll be able to kind of move him around on that defense wherever he's needed. It's good to have a guy that can play that slot corner. Don't hate the pick.
I think slot corners are starting to become a more necessary, needed pick, especially early in the draft. A lot of these young slot receivers are fast, they're shifty, they're quick. And in order to guard them, you need someone who can counteract that, who is also fast, shifty, and quick. And we can't be throwing these 6-foot slow dudes on the inside anymore to guard them because they're just going to get roasted, especially with JSN and all these other receivers who are playing on the slot a lot more. So I think that was a smart pick for a position that's very needed for them. Eric Stokes is a very good outside corner, but whenever he steps in, he's slow on the hips. He does not have those hip turns that this kid has.
Yeah, looking at round 3, we got K'Ron Crawford. Edge out of Auburn. Looks like this will be somebody that'll be rotational there with Crosby. I think he's a good asset to the team. Wasn't too recognized going to the 3rd round. I don't think that was a reach for him. I think that's decent talent. I don't think we're going to see a ton his first year, but I think this can absolutely be a developmental player when he starts getting into that rotation.
Yeah, Max Crosby can only play for so long. There's going to be that great depth behind him, especially with Max coming off of injury. I like this pick. I feel like there's some other positions they could have shored up, though, other than edge. Like I was mentioning earlier, they really need some offensive tackle help. Would be nice. I mean, that's where I really think that could have been an offensive tackle player. They would have been just fine getting an edge player later in the 5th or 6th round.
What do you think of this center coming out of Texas A&M? This guy just looks like a
Trey Zune from Texas A&M. This kid's got a center name. Like 100%, this is a center. The the only thing that would make this kid better is if he ended up coming out of the Midwest in his youth. If this is a
3,000
Midwest
college
kid,
snaps at left tackle. Only 124 at centers. All right, jumping into the draft analysis. What grade are you going to give him?
overall, I think they got some great talent, but I mean, with Fernando going number 1, it's kind of hard to give them anything less than an A- at this point. They got some good players. They really short some up, but I still believe they should have traded some other guys away and got some more picks. I really do think that picks was the way to go with this team, but
They could have definitely went quarterback next year, but last year, this time, we thought that this was gonna be the best quarterback class that we had seen, and look what we got.
oh, you're saying that Nussmeier and Aller are going to be the saviors of this draft?
Don't think so. I'm hoping that Drew Aller becomes the next, Josh Allen. That's what I'm hopeful for, but, you know.
Yeah. I think they did a great job in shoring up some needed positions, but overall A minus kind of where I'm going to be consistent at and stick with. Let's jump into their next win total that they have. Believe it or not, they are not the lowest win total. They're only at 5.5, opposed to the 4.5, which would be the Miami Dolphins. I mean, 5 wins is kind of, again, Vegas is sitting right there at that comfortable mark. I want to take over. I think Fernando's going to surprise people later on this season.
I do like seeing that line at 5.5 because I do think they hit 5 wins. I think going anything above that is gonna be too questionable. The upside is definitely there, but likely, I don't think so. So I'm staying away from this one, honestly. If I were to throw a prediction out there, I'm gonna say under. I'm gonna say they're gonna be right at that 5-win mark.
I mean, for me, like if you look at the 5 wins, let's look at it on the easy side. Let's say Miami beats them, Chargers beat them, but winning the Saints, could you get a win at the Jets, at New York Jets, Cleveland, Tennessee, and Arizona. There's your 5 wins right there.
Okay.
Any of these other games, if you upset just any of these other teams, the Chiefs, for example, one of these 2 times, we don't know what's going to happen with the Chiefs. We already just talked about them being a possible downfall this year. Any of those games, they can upset and take that win total. I'm going to take the over.
That's a good point. I'll give you 5 wins and maybe a tie. Most likely
Ooh,
tie. I'm gonna go with
Tennessee
Cleveland
tie.
Browns.
Ooh,
Cleveland Browns or
I'm thinking Tennessee. I think it's going to be a
uh,
schlop of young quarterbacks getting chased around by good defenses that whole game.
okay, you heard it here first. Tie coming in the Raiders' future. Cleveland or
Yep.
Tennessee? Bet the tie.
God.
Bet the tie. I'm gonna have to write this down so I remember that. That's a long time.
All right. Yeah. So looking everywhere else, I mean, it's not the easiest schedule, but it's not the toughest. They do have some chances here. They're not traveling overseas, so that's nice. They're not having to play, in Paris or anything like that. So that's always a benefit. No one wants to see them play over there. I mean, maybe a game in Mexico, but that's
At least
about
they're
it.
starting to get some good teams on these international games because those poor people in London get stuck watching the Jaguars every year. And yes, the Jaguars are getting a little funner to watch, but they've played some bad football over there.
They got to play 2 weeks back to back in London this year. We got to see that. So look forward to that real quick. I think the signing of Quay Walker was possibly one of the most underrated signings of the free agency. I think they gave him a very cheap deal for someone who is very athletic at his position, has not been given the abilities to grow at his previous team in Green Bay. I think this kid is super athletic. He has gotten better every single year in the league. He's gotten more and more mature over the years. He's diagnosing plays a lot faster, and you can watch him in his film. This kid is so fast. He second guesses himself when he's put in positions that make him think too much. Let this kid play ball. Let him just attack to the football and be athletic. And won't be surprised if you see Quay Walker on a pro.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. Such a good addition. I would agree. And I think in the Raiders system, he'll be able to play just how you mentioned. I think this is a really good fit for him.
And this kid ran I believe it was a 4.41 or if not a high 4.3 40. And his testing was just off the charts. Super, super athletic freak. 6'5", 250 pounds. This dude is a giant freak. Let him play comfortably and you will see all that athletic and all that size just come to fruition. All right, jumping into our last team here, we're going to go ahead with the LA Chargers. Kind of an interesting team here. I think the Mike McDaniels offense coordinator hire is going to be one of the best coaching hires of the offseason. I truly, truly love that hire. Him with Jim Harbaugh, 2 great player coaches that players just love to play under. Pairing them together with a great offensive mind in McDaniels and a great defensive mind in Harbaugh, I think this is just a match made in heaven.
2 football geniuses, man. I'm so glad to see Mike McDaniel out of that head coaching role. He just belongs as
He's
an
not a
offensive
head coach.
coordinator. He gets it, but yeah, he just doesn't have that mentality to be a head coach. But drafting up plays and in the film room, I think this guy is an absolute genius. Don't let his
Yes.
interviews fool you as you start to fall asleep as he fumbles over his words. This podcast isn't shit, but listening to a Mike McDaniel's interview, absolutely awful.
I disagree completely. I think a McDaniel's interview is one of the funnest things to watch. He's
Terrible.
so sarcastic and does not give a shit what the media
It's clearly
thinks.
he's just playing dumb. He's not dumb. He's just playing dumb. But
Ask dumb
Harbaugh does
questions,
the
you're gonna
same
get
thing.
dumb answers.
Harbaugh does the same thing. He's not driving Justin to the fucking airport, you goobers, okay? That was him deflecting that stupid question as if I'm not going to create controversy when you ask me that. Of course, he wants his quarterback there, but it's OTAs. Let's shut up about it.
Yeah, that was just a wild situation. They're voluntary. What did you expect? It's a voluntary workout.
And anymore, it's just with football being 365 days a year, man, you just OTAs, you still get excited about it. We're still going to bitch about not seeing the all-stars out there, but that's for rookies.
Yeah, that's for young guys trying to make a name, trying to get better. Herbert is established. He doesn't need to be there. He'll be fine. Get him by training camp and he'll step up. There's still plenty of time to get that rhythm in with his receivers. I think the biggest shocker out of last year, for I don't know about you, but for me, was the outright shocking play from Quentin Johnston. The dude went from Stone Hands McGee, could not catch a cold, but somehow last year he stepped up, found out how to catch the ball, and it was so fun to watch him just go off for those first 6-7 weeks and just shock everybody. I do
Yep.
think, though, we do need to see some Lad McConkey step up. That was a little concerning last year with Quentin Johnson stepping up, Lad McConkey stepping down. I think if they're able to find out a way to keep both those two on the field at the same time and work them together, I think that'll really help out Justin, allow to pick the defense apart down the field and allow that run game to really explode, which we both know Harbaugh loves a good run game.
Okay, before we jump into the draft here, I wanted to ask you, is Justin a top 10 quarterback?
Ooh. Let's see here. You got Allen, Mahomes, Jackson, Burrow, start off the bat. Prescott, I think, is better than Herbert. Yeah, I can't think of anyone else. I can't think of 10 other quarterbacks I'd rather have over him on my team.
He's in the bottom 5 of that, though. He's not in the top 5
Yes,
conversation.
5 to 10 is a good range for him.
Okay.
Until we
We're on the
start
same
seeing some
page with him.
success in the postseason, I think 5 to 10 is where he's going to stay until we start seeing him really start to win these playoff games.
And we've never seen a phenomenal pass catcher paired with him. And we've never seen a good offensive line. Yes, we have some good playmakers on this team that have popped up at moments, but he's never had a Jamar Chase. He's never had a Justin Jefferson.
But to be fair, last year's offensive line, you couldn't put too much on him because they lost both their tackles before week 4. I mean, this year, at
Yes,
least we're going
heavily
into
beat up.
both of our offensive tackles and being healthy this year, which hopefully that would be great to see those two play together.
Okay, jumping into the draft. First pick, Akeem Mesidor, edge rusher out of Miami. I think everyone's familiar with this guy. Absolutely great season in 2025 with 12 and a half sacks. 12 and a half sacks in 2025. Feel
Yeah.
free to jump in.
Dominant player. The age is kind of the biggest one that concerns me at 25. That's a little old for a player coming into their rookie year. Kind of feel like by the time their first rookie year is done and you take up that 5th-year option, you're looking at a 30-year-old player at that point. That's a little risky for me in a first-round pick and a reach, but hey, the kid's talent's there. He's very dynamic. He's played a lot of football, and he's been great wherever he goes. I don't think that was a great position for someone that age. I feel like that would have been fine in the 2nd round, maybe 3rd, but that's an old player to pick up in the late round.
Long term, maybe not, but with current day NFL, I think drafting a guy at 25, if you get 5 good years out of him and he can immediately see the field for you, I think there's no harm there because within 5 years, they might be talking about trading him anyways. I don't find the age as much of a concern as you are, but that does depend on him getting on the field immediately. He's going to need to
So
get out there.
here's
Go
my
ahead.
question then on that. Sorry to cut you off. Do you think this is going to change the dynamic of the future NFL here with all these older players coming in now with the NIL lasting as long as it has? Do you think we're going to start seeing a lot more of these older players coming in playing a lot more college ball, but then only lasting a few years in the NFL? Because I mean,
Yeah,
we both
even
know at
even more
30 in the
so.
NFL is
Yeah.
done.
That's a really good point. Yeah, I think you absolutely are, but the way the NFL's set up now, I don't think there's any harm in drafting these older players because they're not keeping guys for 10 years anymore. No one's keeping players because you can't pay them all.
Yeah, but I feel like that kind of really cuts you down on the second contract for these young players too. It's like, yeah, you're getting that bread for a couple more years in college, but you're really killing yourself out on a chance for a second contract in the league where you're really
And
going to make your money.
that's the stipulation though. Yeah, you can't be developmental and be, 25, 26 years old just making your debut in the NFL and not see the field immediately. You cannot be developmental.
Yeah, I agree.
Go ahead, Mr. Slaughter.
Jumping into their second round draft pick, Jake Slaughter, a center out of Florida. Slaughter is also the greatest name you can have for an offensive lineman. I think that's a dog name. That's definitely up there in the top 5 offensive
Absolutely.
lineman names. Kid played a lot of good defenses and a lot of important football against very important teams and good teams playing in the SEC. But overall, I think they're kind of gonna have to throw him in there just because eventually they're gonna lose some players for injury. That's just kind of what the Chargers offensive line's done. Someone's gone down. At this point, you're starting to have to draft a lot of players in these first couple of rounds just so you can get through a full season, it feels like.
Yep, absolutely. I think he'll see the field this year. With a name like Jake Slaughter, let's get him on the field. Get him in the trenches. I know this team's not known for their outstanding pass blocking in the past, but with Harbaugh coming in and Mike McDaniels, I think you're going to see some significant big play upside. And I think this guy's just going to be absolutely annihilating people.
I want to see this dude on special teams because wouldn't that be cool to see a Jake Slaughter destroying a punt returner on like that would be the greatest
This
thing.
this guy's not running down there making the tackle. I'm sorry to break it to you.
I'm sorry, but you tell an offensive lineman to go make a tackle, he is going to get down there in 4 or 5 speed.
Hell yeah. Let's do it.
Slaughter, that man is bred to get down there and destroy some people. How are you feeling on their draft grade, looking at everything that what they need and what they got? I want to say a C plus because I feel
I
like they did not get a lot of good players that they could have got better in.
That's right where I was at. No, they didn't take bad talent, but it's
No,
as with any other draft, we have to just see what happens. You can't really knock them, but yeah, I would like to see a good, strong, athletic wide receiver making their way into this offense. I think they need a big-bodied receiver. They don't really have that, so that's what I would have liked to have seen. Obviously, a little more depth at the offensive line, but I'm all about drafting offensive linemen.
I really think the defensive backfield is kind of where they've always struggled too. I mean, the reason why Justin Herbert isn't winning 13, 14 games because their backfield is allowing.
Giving up too many big plays.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly, and when you're getting roasted too much, it's kinda hard to compete with that when you don't have any offensive lineman help to keep you healthy to fight back. So, it's kind of a domino effect. I think, yes, that's kind of a good spot, C plus, based off they got some good players, but not great. They didn't get the positions that they probably should have got, but they did get some good positions. Overall, in their free agency, they did get some help. The David Njoku signing, I think, was also a sneaky signing that could really help out.
Ooh, I
Njoku has
can't believe
always
I
been a
almost skipped over that.
great receiving tight end. He's been consistent in the year. I mean, he's so close to 1,000 yards like every single year. Even when he's out for like 4 or 5 games, he's always right there, 800, 900 yards. I think
I'm such
that would be
such a big
awesome.
fan, and probably the best hair on a tight end that you'll find in the league. Absolutely love it.
Kittle. I'm sorry, but George Kittle has the best hair for a tight end.
No, that's just says Keystone Light.
Exactly. You heard what I said.
I
We
I'm going
don't
with Njoku.
disrespect the
I'm going with
OG
Njoku.
Keystone. Other than that, looking at their schedule, looking at their win total was also before that. We have, let me pull this up, 9.5. I feel like 9 wins again. Vegas kind of right there, kind of hitting that mark with this division. They just kind of seem to hit everything on point. Do you think any of these games kind of stand out to you that could be a shocker to you?
With Harbaugh coaching, I think the Los Angeles game is going to be super close. I think that will be so entertaining. That Houston game will also be right up there as well.
Los Angeles, great game. Houston, great game. Baltimore, great game. I think New England could be a great game. San Francisco is always going to be a great game. They're always going to be there fighting it.
Come down to if they can beat Kansas City out in this division, I think they'll be competitive with the Broncos. I don't see the Broncos beating them in both, but I think if they can handle Kansas City early week 6, Maybe they can get in there and get a win there. I think they can be right along that 9, but getting to that 10-win mark is just it's gonna be tough, but I definitely think it's doable with this team.
The more I think on it, and the more I think I'm just gonna go ahead and just put it down. I think the Chargers win the division this year. I
Whoa!
think they are the division winners. I think Bo Nix's ankle scares me. It concerns me. I think the Chiefs, we've kind of already aired out our concerns with the Chiefs so far. I think this is the year that with bringing in McDaniels, it's going to unlock Herbert into that top 5 quarterback area with the receiver help. If we get a good 2 years ago Lad McConkey, we get last year's Quentin Johnson together, we get David Njoku stepping in, Omarion Hampton year 2 in the system, we get a healthy offensive line. If this defense can stay healthy, this offense is built for success. I truly think that this team could be the division champs with an 11-win season.
I like it. I'll back you on it. I'll back you. Bet the over.
Take the over. Always.
On another episode of Hot Takes and High Stakes, bring the bush back.
Hey.